Chinese people who have settled in Israel for 15 years tell stories about Jewish life. What kind of place is Israel? Are Jews as excellent as they are legendary? The guest is a native of Hubei, who fell in love with a Jewish person, and then traveled to another land to settle in Israel. Her husband's grandmother was a survivor of the Auschwitz concentration camp and traveled all the way from Poland to Israel after World War II, so the suffering of the nation also had some impact on the lives of future generations. For example, when two people get married, there is a special ceremony where the groom crushes a glass to tell future generations not to forget history. In addition, there are also some interesting small places, such as: why doesn't the little hat on a Jewish man's head fall off? That's because there's a small clip fixing it. How do Jews who are far away pray? You can send an email to God. What kind of place is Jerusalem? It's not fun to say otherwise, but you will experience many times going up and down the mountain before turning around. Do you dare to believe that in an era where the world is soaring, Israel will be a country that tries every means to give you a good rest? The period from sunset on Friday to sunset on Saturday, which lasts for almost 24 hours, is called the Sabbath. In the eyes of the Israelites, God needs to rest one day a week, and as God's chosen one, He also needs to rest no matter what. So on the Sabbath, all Jewish believers are not allowed to do anything related to work, such as sending and receiving emails or messages. Besides, you cannot start the ignition or press the power button. On Sabbath, no matter how severe overtime is, one must put down their phone and computer to rest with their family, eat, and go to church. Even if you are not a Christian, you cannot send messages to your colleagues on this day, otherwise you will really be scolded. On the Sabbath, even housewives can rest well. On this day, there is no need to open the fire to cook, just put the food in a constant temperature heated container the day before. Another particularly interesting place is to avoid making the Sabbath too troublesome for believers. In public places, there is a Sabbath elevator that stops on each floor without pressing. If you go to Israel on the Sabbath, don't take this elevator, otherwise it will take a long time for you to go up and down the stairs. For busy modern people, having such a day off every week is truly a cure. There is no need to be kidnapped by electronic screens, or worry about unexpected situations at work. It must be said that this is indeed a super effective form of rest. The Wailing Wall should be the most attractive place for tourists in Israel. But you know, there are also many interesting places on the Wailing Wall. Praying on the Wailing Wall requires writing a small note. You need to write your wish on the note and stuff it into the crack of the wall. Christians believe that the notes they write are messages sent to God, and when you insert them into the cracks of a wall, they immediately reach God's hands. But you can't believe that the Wailing Wall is also keeping up with the times. If you cannot come to the Wailing Wall to pray in person, you can write a letter or email to the office staff at the Wailing Wall. You can write your wishes into an email, and every day a dedicated person will transcribe them on paper and stuff them into the cracks of the wall. For Jews overseas, there is no need to worry about not living in Jerusalem, and they can also achieve the freedom to communicate with God. For tourists, there are also many places to pay attention to when visiting the Wailing Wall. For example, there is a requirement for men and women to be separated. When women enter the West Wall, they should not wear exposed clothing, their shoulders should not be exposed, and their skirts should not be too short. It is best to wear clothes with sleeves, otherwise they can borrow a shawl to put on at the door. When visiting the Wailing Wall on the Sabbath, it is not allowed to use electronic devices, especially not to take photos of others, as this can be a particularly offensive thing for believers. Of course, the real Jerusalem is not as religious as imagined. If you go to Jerusalem, you will find that it is a very, very dynamic place. During the day, you can go to the Wailing Wall to pray and visit, and at night, you can visit many interesting bars and watch various art performances. The charm of Jerusalem is its religious atmosphere and youthful vitality. You would never have imagined that the Israelites would be as kind and meddlesome as the elders and mothers in Chinese villages. Sometimes when encountering difficulties that need to be solved, many people will come around to give you advice. This is not to say it's just a joke, but rather that they genuinely see your affairs as their own. How old are you this year? What kind of job do you do? What is the monthly salary? Did you find the object? These issues are not only of concern to relatives in China, but also to relatives in Israel. It is uncertain that they will start introducing you to jobs and people. Even walking on the street, someone will come up directly to give you advice. The sun is too bright today, you'd better wear sunglasses, otherwise ultraviolet rays will harm your eyes. It's so cold today, why didn't you put on a coat for the child, so he might catch a cold? The chicken in this store is not delicious, you'd better switch to beef. When they see something you haven't done well, they will immediately give you advice. This is not a sign of no boundaries for the Israelites, but rather my sincere consideration for you. Because of the small population and large number of immigrants, they have all experienced such hardships before. So for them, it's just a simple desire to join the group for warmth, a simple desire for you to have a good life. Whether you can accept it or not, this is the characteristic of Israel.